Guys, deluded, I'm back again. Now, Brazil. I want Brazil to win the World Cup. You guys know this. If they can't, hopefully France can do it, or maybe a couple English players do it for Sterling and that. So, yeah, and I'll support all the boys. But Brazil, let's speak about Brazil, or rather Brazil's chances of winning the World Cup. If it's on quality, of course they have a chance. I'm a bit worried about how they would set up tactically against the likes of Germany, Spain, especially in midfield. There's a lot of midfield options for Brazil, and I sound like a hypocrite, which I'll get onto that later if I can find it. Yeah, it's there. Let me just take that out now. Yeah, is that it? No, that's not it, people. Sorry, but we'll speak about that later. I'll freestyle that bit. But yeah, man. And I sound like a hypocrite because they've got Fernandinho, Paulinho, Coutinho can play in midfield, even though I don't think he will. I'm missing someone else out here. There's a midfielder, Casemiro. There's a lot of midfield options. So by that logic, they've got midfielders that can be creative, midfielders that can be compact, midfielders that can just fight and win. There's all different stuff. Granted, even Titi, I can't even say his name correctly, man. I always mess it up. The Brazil gaffer. He might not have necessarily got the greatest experience in Europe, but he studies European competition. He studies European nations, and he's a master tactician throughout his career. He's played 3-5-2. He's got Brazil playing good with, depending on how you look at it, a 4-1-4-1, 4-2-3-1, or 4-3-3, depending on how your tactics are. Either way, more tactics makes it harder to beat us. He's made it a feel-good factor be supporting Brazil in the sense that they stand a very good chance of claiming their first World Cup on European soil in 60 years. Qualifying 10 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss, I believe. That's near enough perfect. People might say it's South America qualifying. Brazil and Argentina and a couple other nations will always be expected to qualify and get out of that, and that might be true. But to score 30 goals and concede 3, especially when people like myself have concerns, especially defensively, about Brazil, to concede 3, that's amazing. There's been losses where it shouldn't have happened. The loss against Argentina, but did beat them 3-0. The draw against Paraguay, the draw against Uruguay. There's all things you could find into that. You could look into and find bad points about it. But for me, I believe Brazil have a good chance. I want them to win it, of course, but if you were to ask me to say honestly with my heart, do I believe Brazil could win it versus the Germans, the Spaniards and the French? I'm going to have to say no. I want to be wrong. I believe they can get to a final, but I'm looking at them other sides. If it was just, I do believe they can beat them, but something in my heart is not allowing me to say fully with all of my thinking that Brazil can win this World Cup. When I look at it from a tactical standpoint, I'll support them all the way. Need to avenge the 7-1 and what happened on home soil in 2014. So yeah, man. The tactics, the way Brazil are playing has got me feeling confident about Brazil. Like the feel-good factors there. Players are playing out of their skin domestically and for their countries. They're clicking well. Players like Willian, bit iffy for his club. Different player for Brazil, in my opinion. Neymar should be fully fit, and the team doesn't rely on Neymar as much. It's Neymar, so they're always going to rely on him, but it's not always, if Neymar isn't turning up, then everybody else isn't going to be there. You've seen Gab Jesus and Coutinho be in decent form. Willian, like I've just said. Douglas Costa's in I don't think he'll start, but he's in the mix as well. So there's a lot to be said. I must admit, I don't watch Brazilian League too tough. I don't watch Brazilian League, and bar the highlights and a couple of people refer things to me. So I'm naturally going to be concerned with the domestic selections, in particular, really and truly, there's a couple defensive options that were picked. Because if I look past Thiago Silva and Marquinhos, I look at Miranda, he's probably not the centre-half he was a couple years ago. And it just looks weak. The likes of Alexandro should have been called up. I know Felipe Luis plays in Europe, but he shouldn't be there. There's a couple favourites in the side like you're always going to see with a manager. But yeah, there's the ability to change tactics. The case will now be, will Brazil sacrifice what's being Brazilian in terms of football, in terms to play the Germans and things if you get to buck them. The group stage should get out, but it's not going to be an easy group by any stretch of the imagination. I feel for the likes of Arthur, Alexandro, Fabinho. I do believe they should be here. Off topic, Neymar needs to be easy because in qualifying he got 6 yellow cards. If you do that in the World Cup, you might miss the semis or something like that. So yeah, man. What else have I got? Like, I swear I had some additional notes. Where the hell is it, man? Getting shagged, people. But yeah, man, like forget it. There's good options. There's good options in the side. I mean, if we was to look at it 4-3-3, an attacking player is gonna miss out. If you was to ask me to name my best side off the top of my head right now, I'd probably say Alisson in goal, right back Danilo, left back obviously Marcelo, centre half Thiago and Marquinhos. Through the middle, I'm probably gonna go with Fernandinho and Paulinho. 10 position, even though it will never happen because he doesn't see him as a 10. Coutinho. Up front, Gab Jesus, Firmino, and Neymar, to be fair. But there's scope to play Coutinho as a winger and play Fernandinho, Paulinho, and Casemiro. Like I said, if there's a game where the midfield is going to be important, you need to do that. There's scope to bring in Willian and Diego Costa. You play Coutinho in a 10, Diego Costa or Willian can be on the flanks. There's some good options to have. I must admit, like, out of 100%, I'm 98% sold on this squad and stuff. My concerns are just going to be we can adapt tactics, but will Brazil actually do it versus other sides? And will that necessarily be the right option? I don't know. It's an average squad age of 28 as well, so it's now or never to at least, if not win the World Cup, at least make the final and things like that. The only bad point I could probably have on Brazil is only, in fact, that the likes of Alexandro Fabinho and I believe Arthur, who's bound for Barcelona, could have afforded to be called up here. But guys, deluded. There's nothing more to be said in that front, man. Seeing is believing. We'll see what go on in the World Cup. So yeah, guys, deluded. I'm out. We'll see what